Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from Manusabata, Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. I am Alfred Okanse this evening. The minority is citing major defect in Chairman Wontumi's judgment. They vow legal and parliamentary action. Stay with us. We'll recall exactly what the minority has been talking about in that press conference they addressed not too long ago. Also, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has dismissed claims that the U.S. immigration proceedings undermine criminal case against former Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta. We'll bring you details of this. It's a statement in response to what we've been reporting since morning regarding Ken Ofori-Atta's application for permanent status in the United States. Got details for you as well. For you national service persons, NASPA has suspended the capacity building program after concerns over allowance deduction. We have these and more here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, we're digging deep into Chairman Wontumi's national chairmanship ambition for the new patriotic party. Now that he is in prison, what happens? Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's settle for a summary of the news now, and Nura Mohammed is here.
Hi, Alfred. First in the news summaries, the Ministry of Health has dismissed as false a report by South Africa's public broadcaster, SABC, claiming that Ghana has recorded thousands of Ebola cases and hundreds of deaths. According to the false reports broadcasted by South Africa's public broadcaster, SABC, they claimed Ghana had recorded 2,300 Ebola cases and 260 deaths. The information, which circulated during one of the broadcaster's news bulletins, suggested that Ebola infections in Ghana were rising. Also in the summaries, Bost Energies has reaffirmed its commitment to fostering a strong culture of health, safety and environmental stewardship across its operations. Bost concluded its 2026 Health, Safety and Environment from 11th to 17th July 2026 under the theme Engage, Educate and Empower People for Improved HSE culture. The week-long celebration brought together employees, management, stakeholders, and members of the media to promote safety awareness, healthy living, and environmental responsibility. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament has identified 4 defects in the conviction of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Bernard Enchibuasiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. In a press conference in Parliament on Tuesday, July 21, 2026, the caucus said the judgment by Justice Kokuvite reflects a miscarriage of justice correctable on appeal. Also, the former Chief Executive Officer of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, Hanan Abdul Wahab, has formally petitioned the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Akuritinga Ayine, accusing his office and state security agencies of subjecting him to a sustained campaign of harassment, unlawful detention, and torture since criminal proceedings against him began. The petition, dated 17th July 2026, follows an earlier letter from his legal team on July 9, raising concerns over alleged rights violations and the seizure of his funds by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, (EOCO). And lastly, a swift joint operation by local police and counter-terrorism units has led to the arrest of 6 suspects involved in a targeted highway robbery along the Gulumpe-Kintampo Highway. The incident occurred on Sunday, July 19, when a vehicle carrying a passenger was ambushed along the busy corridor. According to police, the victim was robbed of over 300,000 Ghana cedis. That's it for the summaries. Over to you, Alfred.
Nora, thank you so much. And you can find more on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live as well on Kesme 107.1 and also on 3FM 927 on Facebook. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM 927, we're streaming live as well as on YouTube at 3FM 92.7 on YouTube and on Facebook. You can follow every step of the way. Now, we're starting from the minority in Parliament because they've described the High Court judgment sentencing the new Patriotic Party's Ashanti Regional Chair, Bernard Entwi-Boesiako, popularly known as Chema Wontumi, to 20 years imprisonment as fundamentally flawed, citing what it describes as 4 major legal defects in the ruling. Now, according to the caucus, the trial judge's refusal to refer constitutional questions arising from the case to the Supreme Court resulted in a substantial miscarriage of justice. Now, addressing journalists in Parliament earlier today, the Deputy Minority Leader, Patricia Piaget, said the minority would pursue all lawful avenues, both in Parliament and through public advocacy, to challenge the judgment. Take a listen to her.
Would do whatever is lawfully and properly within its power through Parliament and through public advocacy to see that justice is done and that the defects which have robbed the judgment of its legitimacy are corrected. 4 serious defects run through this case, and each deserves nation's full attention. First, the denial of a counsel of choice. We understand that judgment was delivered despite the absence of Chairman Wontumi's lead counsel, whose office had notified the court of a prior professional engagement abroad. Second, the refusal to refer serious constitutional questions to the Supreme Court. The trial judge decided for herself that Section 99 2B of the Minerals and Mining Act was, in her own words, clear and unambiguous. Third, and perhaps most vulnerable of all on the law, is how the court pierced Akunta Mining Limited's corporate veil to convict Chairman Wontumi personally. The judgment convicted Wontumi and the company separately on separate counts, using reasoning that treats them as one and the same. A court cannot dissolve a company to convict the man. Fourth, selective justice. In July of last year, the Attorney General directed an investigation into the NDC's own national organizer, Mr. Joseph Yami, and its vice chairman, Mr. Yakubu Abanga, over allegations of illegal mining. Months later, there is no comparable update on charges or trial dates. The government member of Parliament has publicly acknowledged overseeing a mining site taken over from its lawful owners with no prosecution to date. And an NDC member of Parliament charged over an anti-Galamsey clash was granted bail within days. This pattern, taken together, sustains a reasonable perception that the machinery of the state moves fastest and land hardest when it is pointed at the political opposition. The government is serious about ending
5-year term instead of the 20 years that it was slapped on him with some fines, and this is why.
And how we situation. Lawyer Akufu talks about the fact that these galamseyers are virtually coming to murder us. And so when there's somebody attempting to murder you, what do? You defend yourself. You know, if anybody is accused of murder now of one person, we'll all be screaming that the person, should be, now we've abolished the death sentence, but we should be giving the person life imprisonment, isn't it? And so when you have the situation where you have kingpins who are the root cause of galamsey, that, if you don't get them off, you will not be able to eradicate galamsey. Then when you arrest any of these kingpins and you are sanctioning them, the law talks about the fact that the maximum the sentence could either be 10 to 15,000 penalty units or 15 to 25 years jail term, or both. For me, for all kingpins that should be arrested, should be given 15,000 penalty units and 25 years in prison, so that it serves as a deterrent for these kingpins who are facilitating galamsey, who without them, galamsey would be no more. So for me, in as much as I'm happy that this case, again, based on the evidence of it, the issues around facilitating of galamsey, and this issue that we've been dealing with where people go in the name of reclamation of land and then go and do illegal mining, I am happy that in this particular instance, the case has gone to court and it's traveled the full hog, and then we have a judgment. The challenge I have is, where are the others who, the kingpins that His Excellency John Mahama promised that in 2024 that is going to be the focus? Where are the rest of them? We have had situations where, if you take Professor Frimpong Boate's report, is replete with other, kingpins and politically exposed persons. We've had the Attorney General of this current government who has asked Yoko to do some investigations. We are yet to get a report out of that. In October last year, when we met His Excellency the President, I asked that question. We promised we're going to get a report. We have not seen the report. We've had, the Awin MP, for example, who's being accused by his traditional council of being involved in galamsey, but he had said he's not, but it's the traditional council. Where is the investigation into that? We are not saying it come. Currently, if you're going to Malaysia, I don't know whether they still do that, and they give you a visa. They stamp into your visa that if you come to Malaysia with drugs, it is death sentence. So you think anybody who gets the Malaysian passport visa would attempt to carry it. You know what it is that. So if people get to know that in Ghana, when you come and you're engaged in galamsey and you arrest even our own, we give them 25 years and 15,000 penalty units. People would then start realizing that, we can't be joking with this. So we need to send that deterrent. But
to
all of us.
You talk about this being a deterrent and that you're expecting a maximum term of 25 years. But the politics of things is at play right now. The NPP says with all of this, they see Chamawon to me as a political prisoner. Engineer Ken Ofori-Atta.
Well, you see, unfortunately, that is what has happened in this our country, where you've had, the situations where when issues happen to those who are in politics, then they quickly run under the cloak of, politics. Alfred, if it were to happen to you and I, if we were both to be found guilty, we would go in before anybody calls us. But we have allowed the politicians, and it's not only the MPP who's doing it, the NDC have done it in the past, when things happen. You remember the issues of Koku Anyido at the police headquarters that has caused this Joy FM reporter to his call is broken. Once a politician is arrested, then we clamor around it and then we color it with partisanship. For me, I think that when crime has been committed, what we should do is to allow the case to go through its regular route. The only thing that also allows this to happen is that the current government in power should ensure that anybody whose ass is God is also taken through the same process with alacrity.
Right. As Engineer Ken Ofori-Atta is the lead campaigner for the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, also the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. He's joining us on the telephone right now. And Haruna, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Now, first off, yesterday you described Chamawon to me as a political prisoner. You just heard Engineer Ken Ofori-Atta there, that description, you're only hiding behind politics to do this. And so if a crime has been committed, if you want to challenge it, the only way is to go to the law courts and not necessarily engage in the politics of describing him as a political prisoner.
Thank you very much. Good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers on your social media. It's unfortunate that this statement is made and referred to me for response. However, it's on record that Chamawon to me is a politician, not just a politician, but an office holder of a political party from the area in which we consider as our stronghold, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party. It is also established that the out of game saying that what they say outside the territories of the legal system is that Chamawon to me does Galamsey. The decision of the court has not confirmed that Chamawon to me does Galamsey. That is on record. It is also on record that other members of the NDC who are politicians just as Chamawon to me have been referred to appropriate bodies such as IOCO, of which the NDC as a party and government is not interested to prosecute those individuals. The national organizer of the NDC, the vice chairman of the NDC, and also some members of parliament who have been engaged in Galamsey activities, two of them in the NDC. And if this is being done...
And these two, who are these two that you talk about?
Party leaders, then it is clear that Chamawon to me is absolutely a political prisoner.
If you say some two NDC MPs are engaged in illegal mining, who are those two?
Yes, you saw that Awin MP, what have you, had issues with him with regards to illegal mining and how tax were being deployed to go and destroy people. We all saw it. The Oscar, the MP for in the Ahafo region. Also, we saw how the chiefs info and the points that they have raised against him with respect to the Galamsey activities. All these people, they are not interested. Assuming it was Chamawon to me or any other political, any other member of the MPP, then the NDC would have moved in straight to go and do investigation. So these are the things that we're talking about. There is selectivity in the application of the justice system. Nobody is against fighting Galamsey, but we must be very, very strict to ensure that we are fighting Galamsey and we are not being selective in this particular instance. So that is why we are saying that he is not just being prosecuted, but he is being persecuted by the NDC, and Chamawon to me remains a political prisoner in the history of this country.
Well, but you mentioned the Ashanti Regional, that is organizer of the NDC.
No, he's the national organizer.
That's the national organizer, plus also the deputy chair of the party. They have been referred to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO. IOCO is investigating the matter. So what exactly do you mean by no action had been taken, essentially?
That time, since IOCO has been investigating Hanan, always Hanan is in the news. All those that IOCO is investigating all the time, arrests here and there, they are in the news. Have you ever heard any discussion about these two individuals that I've mentioned? Have you ever heard any discussion? No, they're not interested because they are not their target. Their target is the political opponent. And that is why they have went ahead and ensured that they nailed Chamawon to me as a political prisoner.
And you say that the courts, they don't in any way charge Chamawon to me for engaging in illegal mining. Then why is he then in Nsawam? Because if you look at the second, I don't know if you've had the chance of seeing the offenses, but the second offense, specific, says deliberately facilitating unlawful mining. In fact, the law does not punish. Yes.
Enable somebody, not him. But
the law does not punish only the person who actually carries out the illegal mining. It also criminalizes intentionally helping somebody, isn't it?
It's not illegal, I'm saying. To the claim, what he so he has not handed any land to anybody or concession to anybody to engage in galamsey, and that is on record. And he himself is a license holder of a legal mining system. So he's not a galamseyer, and that is what is established.
And that's what his lawyers, in fact, the defense said this in court, but the court relied on the circumstantial evidence that if you are saying Chema Wontumi said he didn't hand over the land for galamsey, the evidence on the land is that galamsey is going on. So why would you say Chema Wontumi said, well, I give it out for reclamation and not galamsey?
Please.
Hello?
Please. Organsi.
Yes.
Organsi. Hello.
I can hear you.
Yes. I've not heard a question.
I was saying that you're saying that Chema Wontumi said he didn't give out the concession for illegal mining. He gave it out for reclamation. The court relied on the circumstantial evidence, what is happening on the land, to arrive at that judgment. So why do you say that he said he gave it out for reclamation? Okay, Haruna Mohammed, unfortunately, we have lost him on the telephone. He is the Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, there. We're trying to get a few things from him, but unfortunately, we lost him. But we'll try to get him back on the telephone to answer a few more questions regarding what has happened to Chema Wontumi, the party's position on it, because they have also indicated they are going to challenge this matter. We would also be finding out what happens to Chema Wontumi's vision of leading the party as its national chairman now that he is in Nsawam prison. Well, Dr. Pagre Boachi Dankwa is one person who is quite close to Chema Wontumi. He's been moving in and out of court with him until yesterday that he was slapped with the 20 years. We want to find out if he has been to Nsawam prison as he promised yesterday and what exactly he has observed in there. But it's some 24 minutes after 5. And on the matter of the position that the lawyers of Chema Wontumi have taken as to whether or not he had any basis to be in jail because he did not give out the land for this illegal mining but for reclamation. We'll try to get to Haruna Mohammed is back on the telephone. I know you'd have to leave us quickly, but then again, now that Chema Wontumi is in prison, he is in Nsawam prison as we speak. He wanted to be your national chairman. He was contesting to be your national chairman. What happens to him then?
We haven't gotten there. We have not opened nominations for the position of national chairman. And he has not applied to become the national chairman of our party. It's an intention that he had. This case has come to truncate some of the processes for him. We are appealing against the decision. We don't know how far the appeal is going to take until the time that we are going to open nominations. So until such a period that is reached, I may not be able to determine the fate of Chema Wontumi because we haven't opened nominations yet. And we will wait for the lawyers to do the appeal, and we'll see how it pans out in court.
I ask this because your party's constitution is clear about the disqualification of a member, that a member shall be disqualified from holding any office or contesting high treason, and also an offense involving the security of the state, dishonesty, fraud, or moral turpitude. So it's quite clear. And he's been imprisoned for falls within this bracket.
Yes. At this particular stage, it is the same party that has instructed the lawyers to go and file the appeal. So once the party is involved in the exercise of this appeal, I believe that we have to allow the judicial system to go, and we'll see how it's going to go. So until now, we cannot determine his fate, and he has not applied. And when it comes to application, the party will so decide, because the guidelines is made by us, and we can decide to wait.
We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much. That is Haruna Mohammed. He is Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party there. But if you look at the NPP's constitution, chapter 5, disqualification of a member, says, 1. A member shall be disqualified from holding any office or contesting any election in the party if such a member is declared bankrupt under any law in Ghana. B. Has been convicted and or sentenced by a court of competent jurisdiction in respect of any offense involving 1. High crime, 2. High treason, 3. Treason or an offense involving the security of the state, dishonesty, fraud, or moral turpitude. Also, any offense punishable by death or by a sentence of not less than 10 years. Not less than 10 years. Chairman to me is in for 20 years. So unless a period of 10 years has elapsed after the serving of the sentence, or the member has been granted a full pardon. Also, any offense relating to public elections, and these are the details of the NPP's constitution regarding offenses that could disqualify a member from contesting for any position in the party. But let's have a quick conversation on this matter of the future of Chairman Wontumi and matters arising. The spokesperson for Bernardine Chiboisa, Chairman Wontumi, as his campaign for the national chairmanship of the NPP, Dr. Palgrave Boachidankwa, is joining us on the telephone as well. Dr. Palgrave Boachidankwa, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
A very good evening to you, and I hope you're doing well. Can you please lift up your voice?
I'm very, very well, and thank you so much for speaking to us.
My brother speaking on the phone?
Yes. I assume your brother should be... Well, this is Alfred.
Yeah, of course, Alfred. Yes, Alfred. I could recognize the voice. That's why. It's not Steve. Alfred, happy to talk to you, my brother.
Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us. First off, yesterday you said to me you were going to visit Chairman Wontumi this morning in his home. Did you do that?
Yes. Well, we had other engagements, and so we sent a team to go there today, and so they visited him. They allowed one person to go and see him, and they were able to give him the immediate toiletries that he needed, because yesterday he was just whisked immediately from the police, from the police headquarters immediately after court. And I'm told that he's doing very well. So the campaign chairman Jordan Go, together with members, visited him.
I see. So you can confirm to us that he's indeed in Nsawam Medium Prison?
Yes, I can confirm to you that he's indeed in Nsawam Medium Prison. I have indications that there would be some visits as well following after the family has visited. So if I get those other details as well, I'll be able to brief you. But yes, I can confirm that he's in his own prison, and I am told that he's also doing well.
So what was his general countenance when, the people who went, what did they tell you? How is he looking?
Well, obviously, waking up on your bed in Accra and sleeping and waking up in a different place is not one that anybody would expect. And so, they said he's okay. But yeah, I know that chairman has a strong spirit, like I've already stated. He's a strong man. I would see him hopefully before the week goes to a close end. So I can be able to confirm a lot more when I've seen him face to face, other than relying on what people have said.
I see. Yesterday, when I spoke to Andiapia Kubi, he had indicated that Chairman Wontumi called him in the morning before going to court and told him to start an appeal process. Hello?
Yeah.
And told him to start an appeal process if he, Chairman Wontumi, is jailed. Because he said Chairman Wontumi knew that there could be a possibility of he going to jail. Did he give you any that indication? Because yesterday in the morning you were with him when he got to court.
Well, Chairman Wuntumi didn't give me any indication that he was aware he was going to be jailed yesterday. Like I said, we have always gone to court and we have always come out, and so that has always been our modus operandi as abeyance of the rule of law. And so we had no indication that that was going to be the verdict of the court yesterday. Like I had already stated, that there were 2 motions that were pending for the judge to hear and also to stay the execution of the judgment or the pronouncement of the judgment. But she threw both cases out, and so we didn't expect that Chairman Wuntumi would receive the final judgment yesterday.
I see, but then again, it was clear. It had been publicized that the judgment was going to be given yesterday, so...
Absolutely. I mean, there are a number of times that cases are supposed to be heard in court, and those cases are either adjourned or not. And so the fact that it was declared that judgment was going to be made, and also there were standing legal cases in terms of motions, interpretation of some attitudes of concepts of the Constitution, which was at the Supreme Court, and then also the stay of execution of the pronouncement of the judgment because the lead counsel was out of the jurisdiction and is yet to be in the jurisdiction tomorrow. And so the judge could have decided to stay the pronouncement of the judgment, call for the judgment on Friday, call for the judgment next week. I mean, there are a number of days before the month goes to a close. So the judge had a lot of opportunities to do that, I mean, if you know what I mean. But, I mean, she decided to throw out the hearing of the Supreme Court's interpretation. She gave her own interpretation, and she went ahead to do the sentencing.
Well, I spoke to some political analysts who say even though the party, as in the NPP, addressed a press conference yesterday, the minority have addressed a press conference today, they believe that the party could have done more throughout the trial process in supporting Chairman Wuntumi instead of coming out the way they have done after his sentence of 20 years. Is it a sentiment you share? I mean, those close to him.
Well, Chairman is the sitting chairman for Ashanti Region. He is a strong pillar in the New Patriotic Party. I know very well that the party has been very involved from the very beginning of that. And so I don't think that I would lean towards those sentiments of a neglect of the party.
I see. Now, but he was hoping to lead the party as his national chairman, which you are the spokesperson for. With what has happened to him now, are you still holding on to those hopes of he leading the party as national chair?
Yes, the party is going for an appeal. The lawyers are going for an appeal. The party has stated that this is political victimization and considered Chairman Wuntumi as a political prisoner, which means that the party is not going to be working with all the convictions and all of the other issues that have befallen from the courts. And so, as far as the party is concerned, Chairman Wuntumi is a political prisoner. And filing has not reopened yet, nomination has not reopened yet, and so we are waiting for all of that. The campaign team is going to be meeting the General Secretary to understand what our own party's constitution says in relation to this before they make a decision.
So you're hoping that between now until the time that the nominations are open for national chairmanship, Chairman Wuntumi will be what? Will be released or granted bail or what?
Nothing denies an individual from being on a ballot paper if the person is in jail. Nothing denies that person. We have cases all around the world that people have opportunities of being on ballot papers even when they are in prison. And so nothing falls short of that, which is why I say that the party considers this as a political imprisonment and political victimization. If the party does consider that, then it remains within the remit of the party's interpretation of our own party's constitution and what that means.
But if you said nothing denies him from being on the ballot paper, your party's constitution actually denies him from doing so if he is in prison, because that's chapter 5, disqualification of a member. That's your MPP constitution. A member shall be disqualified from holding any office or contesting any election in the party if such a member is declared bankrupt under any law in Ghana. 1. B. Has been convicted and or sentenced by a court of competent jurisdiction in respect of any offenses involving
So I'll hold you there. Alfred. I'll hold you there,
yes,
right there. Okay. I said, and I'm sure you are listening to me. I said that the party considers this as political imprisonment. Okay. So it erases all of those that one has been convicted, one has been sentenced, as the article is saying, okay, by a court of competent jurisdiction. The party says clearly from the General Secretary yesterday, and I'm sure that everyone heard that they consider Trump to me as a political prisoner, okay? And if we go into the remit of that in terms of explanation, it has its own explanation and the undertones that we would want to have as a party. And I'm not sure that we're going to be using this time to be bantering that. For us now, we are concerned about the welfare of Chairman Wontumi. We are concerned about his welfare. We are concerned about how he's doing. We are concerned about the appeal, and that's what we are going to be doing now.
Well, we'll see how the coming days will look like on this. And I thank you very much for talking to us.
Alfred, thank you so much for the good job that you're doing for this country, and we are also grateful as a political party for your support.
Dr. Palgrave Boachi Dankwa is the spokesperson for the Chairman Wontumi campaign team for national chairman of NPP. Well, he says that they have not dropped that hope of he leading the party as his national chairman, even though he's in prison. He's given us an idea of how Chairman Wontumi is doing as we speak. And also what he's going to be doing as well together with the team in the coming days. It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. And your thoughts and views and comments are welcome. We're live on Facebook at 3FM 927, also on YouTube at 3FM 927. We're going to go into the matters of the Office of the Special Prosecutor shortly. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM 927, we're going to show you shortly a statement that was issued by the Office of the Special Prosecutor earlier today, responding to a publication indicating that the Immigration Court had essentially dropped the matters of the charges against that's the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, indicating some defects in the said charges and the fact that it does not prove any wrongdoing by Ken Ofori-Atta in Ghana. The Special Prosecutor's Office issued a statement responding to this transcript from the Immigration Court, which was published earlier today on 3news.com, also on 3FM 927. If you go on our Facebook page, we're going to put that statement on it shortly. That's at 3FM 927, also on YouTube at 3FM 927. But Wisdom Safo is here with some portions of that particular statement, which we're going to be getting into the details of which has gotten some anti-corruption crusaders not too happy about this development. Wisdom, what do we know?
Yeah, so I must put on record that this particular statement came after the transcript was received from the U.S. Annandale Court. And it's a public notice from the OSP. And I read, the OSP has taken note of a transcript of hearing purportedly emanating from an immigration court in the United States involving Mr. Kenneth Ofori-Atta, which is being circulated by some media houses, suggesting that Mr. Ofori-Atta has not been credibly charged in Ghana or credibly shown to have engaged in any wrongdoing in Ghana. The OSP stated on 16 June 2026 that it is not involved in immigration hearings in the United States involving Mr. Ofori-Atta, and that the OSP's involvement relates to extradition proceedings against Mr. Ofori-Atta through the Attorney General as the central authority. The OSP reiterates that the extradition packet is not before the immigration court. The credibility or otherwise of the criminal charges against Mr. Ofori-Atta is a matter for determination by the courts in Ghana, which have jurisdiction to determine his guilt or innocence. such matters are not determined by an immigration court in the United States. The OSP states that it is important to distinguish between these separate legal proceedings involving Mr. Ofori-Atta. Number one, United States immigration proceedings, which concerns Mr. Ofori-Atta's immigration status in the United States. Number two, extradition proceedings in the United States, which would determine whether Mr. Ofori-Atta should be surrendered to Ghana under the relevant extradition treaty. Number three, the criminal prosecution of Mr. Ofori-Atta in Ghana for corruption and corruption-related offenses before the High Court in Accra. The OSP reiterates that Mr. Ofori-Atta remains the subject of criminal proceedings in Ghana, which are before the High Court, Accra. A valid warrant of arrest has been issued by the High Court of Accra, and Mr. Ofori-Atta remains a fugitive from justice in Ghana. He is required to submit himself to the jurisdiction of the High Court, Accra, to answer the criminal charges pending against him. The criminal proceedings in Ghana shall continue in accordance with the applicable law and the directives of the High Court, Accra, whether or not Mr. Ofori-Atta is present in Ghana. Mr. Ofori-Atta remains the subject of criminal proceedings in Ghana, and there exists a valid warrant of arrest issued by the High Court, Accra. Mr. Ofori-Atta remains a fugitive from justice in Ghana, and he is required to submit himself before the High Court in Ghana to answer the criminal charges against him. So this was the statement by the OSP.
I see. And Wisdom, thank you so much. And constitutional lawyer John Quayson has also been sharing his thoughts on this development.
Even if we are placing our hope on any extradition request, the U.S. government, represented by this judge, in his or her ruling, is indicative that there is no criminal issue of substance leveled against Ken Ofori-Atta, for which reason he must be pursued or must be extradited by the United States government. My brother, the ruling, in a way, heavily tilts on the side of Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. You know, in the frenzy atmosphere, in the euphoria that surrounded the change in government, and then coming from the heat of aura and so on and so forth, all of us were, or majority of Ghanaians, felt that the past administration or whoever was perceived to have engaged in one way of corruption or the other must be brought to book. Under the circumstances, the name of Ken Ofori-Atta was also mentioned and so on and so forth. But I think legally, we were all speculating until we heard the side of the American government. This ruling by the American government, in a way, even though it's not the finality, is conclusive enough for any legal analysis to be made.
Well, that's the question there, saying that this particular ruling is conclusive. The OSP thinks otherwise. In fact, the statement that snippets of it, Wisdom Safo just read, they firmly rejected the suggestions that a United States Immigration Court has undermined the criminal case against the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, and they're insisting that only Ghanaian courts have the jurisdiction to determine the validity of the charges pending against Amanda Clinton. Is a private legal practitioner. As one, she's been following this case quite closely. Amanda, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
First off, I know you've been following this development, but I want to start from what the OSP is saying, essentially rejecting the suggestion that this U.S. Immigration Court's ruling today undermines, or in fact, also yesterday, undermines the criminal case against the former Finance Minister. And they are continuously insisting that only Ghanaian courts have the jurisdiction to determine the validity of the charges pending against him, and not a U.S. immigration court. Amanda.
Yes, I do believe that they're right in terms of sovereignty. You know what I mean? You know, a U.S. court can't, or particularly an immigration court, can't determine this. And, you know, what the immigration judge has done has sort of dented the OSP's approach, perhaps, But I think, as the OSP also said, it was not a party to the immigration proceedings, and the extradition package was not before the immigration court, and the immigration judge was not deciding on the extradition. You see, so the extradition judge is going to be deciding on quite a few other things. But ultimately, you know, Ofori-Atta has not been proven guilty, has not been convicted. He remains presumed innocent, and the immigration ruling, although it casts doubt on the allegations as they were presented, it is not a criminal acquittal or a final declaration of factual innocence, basically.
And I thank you for your very, very brief but intensive analysis of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amanda Clinton is private legal practitioner, joining us with her thoughts on this. And this is Hot Edition. We're back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. And some good news for the National Service persons. The National Service Personnel Association has suspended its capacity building program following concerns from National Service personnel over deductions made from their monthly allowances to fund the initiative. The suspension follows public criticism of a 60 Ghana cedis deduction from the allowances of some service personnel who argue that they were not adequately consulted before the deductions were made. Addressing a press conference earlier today, the NASPA National President, Abdul Wahab Bala Mohammed, said the association had initially considered the program beneficial because of its potential to improve the employability of service personnel, but the service personnel say, we don't want any capacity building. How much is the allowance now? 750
yeah.
cedis. So 60 Ghana cedis deduction is a big deal.
Yes, a big deal. It's a big deal.
Rosalind and the others.
Definitely. Definitely.
I hear there was going to be a demonstration on this matter.
Oh, I tell you, that's almost like 20. Let's say 12% of your salary going away.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
715.
715. Yeah. And they are taking out 60 cedis for capacity building you did not sign up for.
Charlie,
well, it's a good news for them.
And there are some matters. In fact, this development of a South African television station having some crawlers on their screen that Ghana had recorded Ebola cases. I had a number of people send it to me yesterday while on Ghana Tonight on TV3. We had to send it to the health ministry to officially respond because we knew it wasn't true. Well, there's been an apology by the South Africa's public broadcaster, that's SABC, for putting out this false news that Ghana had recorded thousands of Ebola infections and hundreds of deaths, a claim the Ministry of Health had earlier dismissed as false. Let's trace back for the uninitiated.
Yes, so Alfred, we were there around 10 p.m. yesterday, and one of our reporters, Christian Yali, he was watching TV at home, and he switched to SABC only to find that it has been slagged. So you see on our screen we have a lower third and we have a slag. The lower third, the crawlers, had the inscription.
Just for Ghana's simple knowledge, those who are listening to it, the thing that scrolls underneath your screen. Yeah. It had a statement there that Ghana's Ebola cases have risen to 2,300 with 930 deaths. So that was the inscription there at the base of the screen. So he screenshotted it and placed it on the page. So we quickly had to verify, we quickly had to make noise about it, because credibility comes first when it comes to our news, right? So we forwarded it to the Ministry of Health for clarification, and that what led to the release that they brought today. And the release stated that the Ministry of Health allay fears of Ghanaians and other African countries about Ebola publication on SABC. And I read, the Ministry of Health has taken notice of a false publication circulating on social media published by SABC News Channel, claiming that Ghana's Ebola cases have risen to 2,300 with 930 deaths. Then the ministry wishes to state unequivocally that Ghana has not recorded any case of Ebola virus. The figures being circulated are false, misleading, and should not be trusted and should be disregarded. The Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health, Honorable Kwabena Mita Akando, recently visited the point of entry laboratories, the treatment facilities as part of Ghana's routine preparedness and efforts to strengthen the country's readiness to prevent and respond to any potential public health emergency. The proactive measures do not indicate an Ebola outbreak in Ghana. The ministry urges the public to rely on official information from the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service to avoid sharing unverified reports that may cause unnecessary fear and panic. Issued by Osei Isaac Bang, Public Relations Unit of the Ministry of Health. So that's what led to this particular release. And we are in around 5 p.m. today, 4 to 5 p.m., that's when that video surfaced, where the South African Broadcasting Corporation or Network came out with an apology to actually apologize for putting out that false information. So let's take a listen to that broadcast by SABC.
News incorrectly attributing Ebola statistics to Ghana in...
Well, so let's have a quick conversation on this one. And this borders on international relations. Dr. Elvis Bota is an international relations analyst. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Great. You're good.
Well, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us. We've been having our own challenges with South Africa, and now their public broadcaster puts out this false news about Ghana. I mean, yes, we have responded, they have retracted, but what's your reading of all of these events?
Okay, so let me simply say good evening to all our cherished listeners today, and to thank you people for your dedicated, dissemination of information and education on this South African, issues with Ghana. For me, it's truly a sad one, but I'm not from an expert point of view going to call it a mistake or just a simple, media error. It isn't. Now, what happens is that every nation state have got its posture of behavior towards other nation states within the international political system. And that is what we usually would call foreign policy. That is the extent to which a particular nation state positions itself in its interaction towards other countries or other players within the international or other actors within the international system. Now, in moments of crisis or where the relationship between two countries, in this case, Ghana and South Africa, suffers some form of diplomatic strains, then the next thing you expect is what we call strategic diplomatic escalation. And for me, I think that is what South Africa is playing, where they don't come as a direct adversary, but they use tricks like this, other tactics, to try to impute a form of, bad image on the other country. Now, let's go into the situation more carefully. You realize that a few weeks ago, South African president Cyril Ramaphosa was supposed to enter Ghana, and after certain considerations, the Minister of Foreign Affairs actually decided not to allow him in yet until we see enough state action on the issue of xenophobia, attacks on Ghanaians and other African nationals. Now, that amounted to what South Africa is likely going to consider a diplomatic bruise on them. Now, knowing already that they are not on the good side of the books, diplomatically speaking, on this matter, what is likely going to happen is for them to resort to such strategic diplomatic sabotage to give Ghana bad press and to put us to the disadvantage in the region and internationally. So if you come out to say that Ghana have recorded such, figures of Ebola, a very dangerous health condition people are careful about. You do recall that sometime in 2012, 2013, Ebola cases amounted to why, just like COVID, affected countries could not have their citizens granted visas for any purpose, whether medical, business, or political, into any other territory. So if South Africa is able to successfully embark on the media antics of agenda setting and to frame Ghana as a country saddled with Ebola, what it means is that in the meantime, a lot of our foreign nationals and a lot of our private citizens in business will not have clearance to enter some countries. And that will convey diplomatic considerations that will also have, most importantly, personal and economic, burdens and impacts on Ghanaian citizens and Ghanaian as a nation largely. And this could be a subtle attack on Ghana's, international
image and relations, indeed. It's a very, very important issue that you raised there, Dr. Bota. Dr. Elvis Bota is international relations analyst there talking to us. And Oreku Ampofo is standing by with the latest in the world of sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. Just by way of some transfer news, Leicester City have confirmed that Ghana international Abdul Fattah Issahaku has completed a transfer to Ipswich Town for an undisclosed fee subject to league and international approval. The move brings a remarkable 3-year journey at the Kimpa Stadium to an end, where the talented winger established himself as one of the club's most exciting and influential players. Issahaku first arrived at Leicester City on a season-long loan from Portuguese outfit Sporting CP ahead of the 2023-2024 campaign, and then meanwhile, English Championship outfit Queen's Park Rangers have secured the services of Ghanaian international Tariq Lamptey ahead of the upcoming football campaign. The former Chelsea and Brighton and Hove Albion fullback joins the Championship club as a free agent after parting ways with the Italian side Fiorentina following an unsuccessful spell. Lamptey and Fiorentina mutually mutually parted ways in May, bringing an abrupt end to a disastrous chapter that saw the Ghanaian defender play just 25 minutes for the club after suffering a knee injury. You can get some more sports update on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH. My name is Oreku Ampofu.
Thank you, Rico. You can find more news on 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, I'll say thank you so much for staying with us. Make a date, same time tomorrow, 5 p.m. But join me tonight at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the team, Rosalind and Amma, charge of social media, making sure we're live on 3FM 927 on Facebook, on YouTube, Wisdom, Richard Des, and Sixtus Dong Ulo. Producer, my name is Alfred Okanse. The drive continues. DJ Abiam and Trigmatic continue. Stay with us.